I'm using a new M1 MacBook Pro.
Oh,
Cool.
This is really an experiment because I'm running Mimo Live and Zoom and Keynote on an 8 gigabytes of RAM and an M1 processor. And so far, it's amazing. But all of the, the 16 people in the squares are all moving in real time. And apparently I'm streaming out okay. And, I've got all
Your
this.
camera really looks good.
Yeah.
Here, how about that?
big
Aha.
thing.
Isn't that professional?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm doing all of this on this little 13-inch MacBook Pro with 8 gigabytes of RAM. I'm shocked. I can't even do that on my 2014 MacBook Pro.
So how long have you been using the M1?
3 days. No, I've had it about a week. And actually, let's see, Friday will be 14 days. So I have to decide if I'm going to keep it. And the thing is, this is pretty impressive that I'm doing this with 8 gigabytes of RAM, but I still think I want to return it and get one with 16.
I would.
Because I'm of the opinion more RAM is always better. And for $180, I can't upgrade it later. So I'm thinking I made a mistake getting the 8, but I'm really happy to see like all of this real-time video, not choking it. It's amazing, really. And I'm using all of the 8 gigabytes of memory. There's like no free memory at all.
Are you hardwired with an Ethernet?
Yes, I am.
Good.
But I also have very, very fast Wi-Fi in this where I'm sitting. It doesn't really matter that much. They're both about 200 down and maybe 8 or 10 up.
What kind of hub did you use for the RJ45?
So the hub I'm using is an Anker because it was here and it's been working great. It's a 11-in-1 hub. It's got SD card slots. It's got Thunderbolt 3. It's got USB-C and USB-A and audio. And did I say 2 SD card slots and HDMI? And it's just great because the computer itself has but 2 USB-C/Thunderbolt ports. And I only am using one of them right now, even though I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 external discs attached.
Good grief.
Well,
I thought I had a lot of junk attached.
Well, everything's plugged into the dock or the hub. I've got a hub behind the dock for all the USB stuff. So I've also got keyboard and.
Is your charger plugged in through the Anker as well?
No, I've got the charger plugged into the wall now because I got a new iPhone, and it charges faster if I use the higher powered adapter on the wall. So I could use one of the slots on the Anker, but
I will make a comment quickly about your RAM situation. I bought a 2017 iMac with only 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I've regretted it ever since. Yeah. And so if you have the opportunity to take care of that now, I would strongly.
I do, absolutely. And you just convinced me that that's what I need to do, because I know I'll be unhappy down the road and I can't change my mind after day 14.
You just can't keep enough applications open if you only have 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Well, I have to say that the new M1s are much, much, much better at handling that, because I've been running it with Word and Affinity Photo or Pixelmator Pro and Music and Photos all open, and I haven't had any real like oh my gosh, I'm paging out and everything is slow as crap.
What kind of Mac did you get?
It's the MacBook Pro with the M1 processor.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Nancy. Hi, Mom.
I never know. Hi, Bob. I said hi to you a while ago, but I didn't have my sound turned on.
So I didn't hear you.
That's right. I'm getting the M1 Mini that's going to be here in about 8 days. I can hardly wait.
Congratulations.
That's what I want one. I want one of those minis.
Mine's coming tomorrow.
Oh,
That'd be
good.
good.
Oh my God, I want one.
Did you all see behind me? I've got a museum of older Macs now. Hold on. Let's see if I
Do
can.
you really?
Yeah, hold on. Let me turn that little guy off and look. So yeah, a friend of mine was about to throw these away in California, and I said, well, no, send them to me.
Classic
See 'em there?
iBook and classic iMac.
You need an Apple desktop bus keyboard?
Oh, you mean like Apple extended Battleship Saratoga thing?
Yeah, yeah. With the
I
Apple
think I
desktop
might
bus
have
mount
one
with that
somewhere. I
connector.
keep saving it and thinking maybe it'll come back in fashion someday. You know, I use a keyboard almost like that. It's like as big as that one.
Gee. All right, I'm
I
going
have
to
a
take
big
over
hand.
here. All right, Bob, I'm going to put you on mute.
Are we all on mute?
John is, well, there are 30 or more of us here. I don't know where that number went. John has been called out of town. I think there's some serious illness in his wife's family, perhaps. So I just found out that I'm gonna chair the meeting tonight. So welcome everybody. Happy December. It's finally getting cool here and feels like it's more like December. We've got a lot of things to cover tonight. Oh, do we have any visitors?
Yes,
We do? Okay.
Who?
the names that you don't recognize on the screen.
Well,
visiting.
There's
visiting from
Jan,
New
there's
York.
Willow, there's Joanna,
Vernon there.
Hi, from
and
New York.
Vernon. Yeah.
well, we welcome you to our December CapMac meeting. I'm Nancy Gravely, and I'm substituting for our president, John Purvis. So we're delighted to have you here and hope you enjoy our meeting. We have a lot of things to cover tonight, as we always do in December, and we want to leave plenty of time for Dr. Bob. So first thing that I want to do is recognize our current board, because this is their last meeting of the year. So can we give a round of applause, please, for our current board? Oh, that'll do. Silent applause, wonderful.
That's right.
I want to, every December, we always have our biggest meeting, and one of the things that we do is have a holiday gift for each of our members. And we're going to do it this year, even though we're not all able to get together. Tom has done almost all the work on this. He's putting it together, and he will be sending it out to you so you can watch for your mail from Tom. We don't want to tell him what it is, do we, Tom? Where'd you
No,
go?
but it'll be coming to you in a mail in an envelope, and the envelopes are sitting behind me. They're already stamped. But at the same time, going out with them is the rewards for those that earn CapMac rewards. That's the new name for the 300 Club. And I'm still waiting for Apple gift cards for those that earned over 300 points. So it's just waiting to stuff that in, and then it'll go straight to the post office, and so they'll be to you soon.
Thank you, Tom. As I said, Tom's done almost all the work on this, and we kind of struggled with what can we give all of our members that doesn't cost us, $10.50 each to mail out. So we hope that when you get your gift, that you will find it very useful.
Oh,
okay.
Nancy,
yes.
Sorry, one other thing. If any of you are trying to communicate with those on the board using the CapMac email addresses, they're not working right now. So please find another way to get your message through to whoever you need to get through to. We'll try to get those fixed as quickly as we can.
Thanks. Okay, the next thing I want to mention is permanent.org, which we've talked about a lot. This is permanent storage space for you in perpetuity, because we have helped them get started by being a guinea pig for them. We all get a discounted rate, but it's a wonderful way to put things that are really important. Just be sure and give at least one other person access to it. Once COVID started, I decided that I needed to update my end of life documents, and I got that done, put them on permanent, gave the link to my kids, and it's done. So it's CapMac uses it for a lot of our things, particularly the things that are illegal that we have to keep available. So check it out. It's a total nonprofit. Okay, the next thing is we need to install the 2021 board. And Jill has volunteered under pressure to do that for us tonight. So this is going to be fun. Jill's going to read the document, and each of us who are here who are going to be on the board, I'll announce them in a minute. We'll have to just say, I do. The board for 2021, John Purvis will continue as president. I'm going to be vice president. Tom's going to continue as secretary. Bill O'Barr is going to continue as, Tom's treasurer. He's giving me a dirty look. Tom's continuing as treasurer. Bill O'Barr is continuing as secretary, even though he lives in San Antonio now. And then our directors are Jim Wynn, Cokie Craig, and Robert Frazier. So Jill, are you there? Can you?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
So raise your right hand, those of you who are members of the board. As a collective, you represent CapMac's executive board. You are responsible for the administration of the affairs of the club. You must determine the policies and activities of the club, work with prospective members, and continue to develop a strong club. You are charged with the control of all its bills and its money. In brief, all the general management of your organization rests upon you. With this information in mind, I ask you to confirm your willingness to serve as a board member.
I do.
I do.
I do.
And Nancy, can I get everyone to smile and take a screenshot? Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. There, done.
Thank you.
You are hereby installed as members of the 2021 Board of Directors for CapMac.
Thank you, Jill. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's going to be a good board. We've had some tremendously good boards the last few years, and it really is a pleasure to be part of it. Okay, the next thing is our club awards. Tom, do you want to announce those? Do you have them handy?
Yes, I'll be glad to as soon as I unmute myself. We had 7 folks with 300 or more points in alphabetic order: Robert Frazier, Nancy Gravely, Nathan Lott, Jeff Pape, John Purvis, Tom Weaver, that's me, and Jim Wynn. We had 5 people with over 100 points: Cokie Craig, Craig Gowans, Bill O'Barr, Christine Gilbert, and Christian Boyce. And we had 3 other people over 50 points: Jill Frazier, Art Smith, Billy Brown. All those names I just mentioned, when you get your CapMac gift envelope, you should find a gift card in there. If not, it's been stolen in the mail.
Would you announce the amounts, Tom, please?
Okay, we were going to try to do Apple gift cards for everybody, but we could not. Those with over 300 points have a $50 gift card. Those with over 100 points have a $20 Amazon gift card. And those with over 50 points have a $15 Amazon gift card. We found out that Apple Store does not give gift cards under $25, and they're only in fixed amounts of 25, 50, and so forth. So we had to go to Amazon gift cards.
Thank you, Tom. And special thank you to all the people who have contributed their own time and effort into keeping CapMac going during this difficult year.
Oh.
Difficult year, yes. Yes, my biggest difficulty, in case anybody cares, is third grade math. It's horrible. I'm having to proctor my grandson's classes, and I don't think we can ever say too much about what our teachers are dealing with during this time. So if you know anybody that's a teacher, has nothing to do with CapMac, but if you know anybody who's a teacher, pat them on the back, because just visualize 38-year-olds sitting in front of computers with all kind of distractions and trying to teach them whatever they're trying to teach them.
Sounds like a CapMac meeting.
Well, most of the CapMac members at least do not sit and play with a toy when they're supposed to be looking at the screen. So I just have, I've just gained a great respect for what our teachers are having to do right now. All right, are there any other awards that I have? I mean, excuse me, any announcements that I've not remembered or made? We will have door prizes tonight. And as we've been doing since we went on Zoom, Tom will give me a list of all the paid members that are in attendance. I've got an app that will pick numbers at random, and those folks will each get a gift card. And if you win, I will notify you so you can be sure and watch for the notice. And I hope everybody wins. Well, I mean, obviously, never mind. Good luck to everybody. How about that? All right. The biggest adventure ever of our December meetings is always Bob LeVitus. We're fortunate to have somebody of his renown as a member of CapMac, and we look forward to every December to everything that he has to say about what's going on, good, bad, or indifferent. And we all go away knowing a whole lot more than we did before. So Dr. Bob, I'm turning the meeting over to you. Can't hear you.
Unmute.
We can't hear you.
I was being polite. I muted myself.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Let's put me down in the corner there. There we go. So today's show is entitled Big Sur, Apple Silicon, iPhone 12s, and a few of my favorite things. You don't have to stand by. We're ready. Ready?
Ready.
Here comes the theme music.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste.
Oh, look, Zoom said I could set up professional audio in audio settings, but I don't think I'll do that.
So Bob, I'm still in gallery mode. Are you going to take over the screen?
No, you have to go into speaker mode, and then I'll take over the screen.
We have to do what?
Go up to the right corner where it says view and choose speaker mode, and then I will be full screen.
Okay, I thought you were just going to share it.
Thank
Because
you.
anytime somebody talks, it takes back over unless I pin you.
Well, everybody needs to mute themselves except me. And then at the end, save your questions. You know how I stop and answer every question, but if we do that on Zoom, we'll be here till tomorrow. So everybody mute yourself so that you don't accidentally pop into the middle of the screen, and then keep notes. And at the end, I will answer all your questions. So now that I've introduced myself, this is the stuff I do, or usually did. That's the stuff I did. I was also, what was I? Director of Evangelism for Power Computing and then Motorola. I was editor-in-chief of Magazine. I was a contributing editor at Mac User and Macworld. I've been a columnist for every magazine that's got the word Mac in its title ever, I think. I've been a columnist for the Houston Chronicle for 24 years, which is the longest I think I've ever worked for anybody in the world. And I think the secret is I've only been to their offices once, and I've never met anybody I work with. So that's me. I'm an author, a raconteur, and a Mac geek. And so let's move along to the iPhone's 12 in 4 delicious flavors. So I've been using an iPhone 10 for 3 years. And I decided when they hit $1,000, I wasn't buying a new one every year. And then the second year I thought, well, this one's still pretty good. I don't, you know, I mean, the new one's got a better camera and stuff, but I could live with it. And then the second year I thought, oh, you know, it'll cost me over $1,000 to buy another one. And if I wait a year, it'll still cost me $1,000+, but I'll have saved $1,000 this year. Specious reasoning, but you know, I'm on my 4th year with an iPhone 10. And so this year was my year, and I've got an iPhone 12 Pro Max. It's the biggest iPhone ever. It's got the biggest screen ever. It's got the best cameras ever. It's got LiDAR. I don't even know what that is. It's unbelievably fast at everything I do. The screen is amazing. If you've never had an iPhone with an OLED screen, they are significantly and noticeably better than LED or LCD, whatever the old ones were. And once you've seen it, you won't be able to go back. You'll go, oh my gosh, that's what I always want to look at. It's so beautiful. I also got my wife an iPhone 12 mini. And I have to say, it's awesome. If it had the cameras that this has, I would live with it because I love that tiny form factor. But what I'm thinking is, I'm sick of having 3 devices. I'm just going to stop having an iPad and get bigger iPhones every time. And that'll take the place of 2 devices. If I could get an iPad that had a phone number for voice calls, I think I wouldn't have an iPhone. I'd just carry an iPad around. But I don't know how to do that conveniently, I don't think. Plus, that is a little big for sticking in the pocket. But I have to say, the iPhone 12 mini is amazing. It's got all of the same ingredients pretty much, except the camera and the special sensors and stuff. But it's got the same processor. It's got the same kind of screen. And it is a gorgeous little thing. And it actually fits in like shirt pockets, which is super cool. This guy, well, cargo pants. You need cargo pants to carry one of these in your pocket. If you haven't played with them yet, this MagSafe thing is pretty cool. If you've ever laid your phone down on a cheap charger and not had it charged because it wasn't right on the thing, this kind of fixes that. When you're on the thing, you get this special icon on your phone that says, you're on the thing, and you're charging. And it kind of makes a little thunk. And so, you know you're charging rather than having to look and see if the little teeny battery icon turned green with a lightning bolt. And when you get to be my age, that little thing is hard to see. Whereas this big icon just comes up right in the middle of the screen and says, I am charging, and I'm charging fast. Battery life. I haven't benchmarked it, but it is at least as good or better than my iPhone 10 was when it was new. Now, today, it's not as good. It runs out of battery mid-afternoon if I don't top it off at some point. And this guy, the new Pro 12 Max, has, I I don't think there's been a day where I've needed to charge it, you know, like until after dinner or till bedtime. And that's what I want. I want to be able to make it through most days without having to plug in somewhere, even though most days I can and do. There are those days when I can't, and I don't want to be stuck with no juice. So, well, when we get to a few of my favorite things, if we have time, I'll show you my collection of batteries, because I never go anywhere without at least one battery. I'm just petrified that I'll, you know, be stuck somewhere without my devices to keep me entertained. And I have a really short attention span. So anyway, there's 4 tasty flavors. The one that's missing here, who can, oh wait, you guys are muted, so you can't tell me. But the one that's missing is my phone, the 12 Pro Max. And that's because it looks pretty much like the 12 Pro, only bigger. Okay, so there's the 3 models. And I have to say that 12 mini, I don't know, the iPhone 12 without the mini or the Pro, I don't get it. It's kind of like, I don't know, for a couple $100 more, you could have the same size phone with great cameras and stuff. And if you wanted to save money for $100 less, you could have the mini. So I'm guessing the 12, not Pro, not mini, is going to be the worst seller of the 4. But I don't think you could go wrong with any of them. If you need a new iPhone, man, they're awesome. I'm very pleased so far. I have no complaints. The one thing I haven't tested is the new ceramic shield thing, because I'm not about to drop my $1,200 phone just to see if it works. And in fact, when I got it, I put a tempered glass screen protector right on it. I always do, because I don't like to get scratches on the face of my devices. You know, it's like I put film on my watch. I put a protector on my iPhone, usually the day it comes. On my MacBook Pro, I ordered one of those clear cases the day I got it, and it went in the case immediately. I just like this stuff to look good when I decide it's time to sell it, because if it's all beat up and scratched and icky, nobody will want it, and if they do, they'll pay less. And I do move this stuff pretty quick, you know. It's like it goes on Craigslist or eBay or whatever, unless somebody in my family wants it. They always get first choice. All right, let's move right along to Apple Silicon. M1 processor chips. And let's talk about macOS 11, AKA Big Sur. So, can you see them? Yeah, it's too small. Well, I spent the summer with Big Sur, and so I have some insight. And I can't tell, well, actually, I guess I can. So how many of you, if you've upgraded to Big Sur already, raise your hand, and I'm going to scroll through and see how many of you have done this already before I tell you what my advice would be. All right. Christian Voice installed it. Come on. No? Smart man. Anyway, okay, let's go to my advice here for a second. Those are those new M1 Macs. There's 3 of them. I'm going to talk about M1s in a minute because I have one. And in fact, you're watching this presentation on an M1 MacBook Pro with 8 gigabytes of RAM. And I'm running Mimo Live, Zoom, all of my usual utilities, you know, Text Expander and Keyboard Maestro and all that kind of stuff. And iStat menus, everything that I usually run, plus Keynote in 8 gigabytes of RAM. And shocking to me, everything is working really well. I mean, better than it works on my 16 gigabyte 2015 MacBook Pro with an i5. So I'm very impressed with how efficient this thing has been. I'm also very impressed with compatibility. I've only found a couple things that don't work. And they're the ones that we expected not to work. The big ones, I think, are emulation. If you're running any kind of Parallels or any of those emulation software things that run other flavors of operating system, it's going to be a while before that gets sorted out on the M1 chip. But this Rosetta 2 translation thing is working amazingly well. And in fact, Mimo Live is not native for the M1. So it's being translated from an Intel version on the fly, and you're seeing me in real time. I mean, the whole thing is absolutely working. So I'm very impressed with this MacBook Pro. I'm definitely gonna keep it, but I think I'm gonna return this one. I have until Friday and order one with 16 gigabytes of RAM. I swear I'm so impressed with how well it's working with 8. But I know one day in the future I'm going to wish I had gotten 16, and you can't upgrade it. It's actually built into the processor, I believe. So it's absolutely not upgradable. And if I want 16, I've got to get it now. And so I think that's what I'm going to do, is return this one, order one with 16 gigs of RAM. And I am just blown away by A, Rosetta and how compatible it's been with everything I've thrown at it, and B, how efficient it is. The thing is cool. It's got no fans going. My MacBook Pro, if I were doing this, the fans would be howling at 7,000 RPM. They would be just going out of their minds. And this thing it's quiet, and I'm touching it. It's not even warm, not even a little warm. All right. So now, having had my hands on one, I'm very impressed with what Apple's done here. And you know, this is just the first volley. This is just the first batch. And these are probably the least powerful Apple-powered Macs that will ever exist. And they're pretty amazing for the first batch. And just imagine when they have twice as many cores, or 4 times as many cores, and more graphics cores and more AI core. Oh man, it's just unbelievable how powerful this little thing is compared to, you know, a pretty capable Intel MacBook Pro. And also, I haven't really tested it with Final Cut Pro, but the minimal testing I've done so far was impressive. I was able to run a pretty complicated piece of video, and it was rendering in real time. And I was changing things, and it was, you know, re-rendering in real time over and over. It was very amazing. And then there's Big Sur, which of course, if you get an M1 based Mac, you're going to have to run, whether you like it or not. That's what you need on an M1. So here's my advice for those without an M1, because if you've got an M1, you have no choice. But really, my advice is as follows. At least for a while, say no thank you. First of all, if you skipped Catalina, if you know, are stuck back with, if you stuck with Mojave or an earlier version, you still have all that 32 versus 64-bit to overcome before you can upgrade to Big Sur. So if you haven't done it, it didn't go away in Big Sur. You still are going to have to deal with it, and you probably don't want to. There's a reason you're using Mojave or earlier, and that is you've got software that won't work with this, right? So I would say wait. Also, there's some things that aren't quite baked yet in Big Sur, and one of them is the ability to clone your boot drive. I believe it's fixed for Intel now, but it's still not fixed for M1 Macs. And so I can't make a bootable clone the way I used to. That is, just tell Carbon Copy Cloner to make a bootable clone. If I want to, I have to make a backup and then install Mac OS 11 on the backup. Then it's a bootable clone, and it can keep updating, and it'll mimic my boot disk, but it's an extra step, and it's because there's a bug in Apple's cloning routines. So, and you know, if Mike Bombick says he advises waiting a few updates before you upgrade to Big Sur, that tells me I'm not alone when I say, you know, think very carefully about it. Here's the thing. It probably won't hurt. and you probably won't have any problem. I didn't have any problems when I upgraded, and I've got a lot more software than most people. However, I've heard from a lot of people who did have a problem when they upgraded. And the question then becomes, do you have a day or two of frustration to deal with that? Are you ready to erase your hard disk if necessary and restore from the internet? Those are all things that, you know, if the upgrade goes badly, you may find yourself having to do. And if you're going to do it, you probably want to do it like on a weekend. So if you're going to do it, here's my list of things to do first. Back up your startup disk, then back it up again, or better still, clone it. Test your backups to make sure they work by restoring a few files. Check compatibility at roaringapps.com for all Macs. And then for M1 Macs, there's a new site called applesiliconready.com, which has compatibility info of which apps have been upgraded to what they call native M1 or native Apple Silicon. So if you're interested, and what's interesting to me is that most of my apps that aren't converted yet haven't shown any signs of running badly or slowly or being in any way hampered by Rosetta 2. And so, you know, I don't care that Microsoft Word is not yet converted to universal. It works fine. I mean, it's as fast as it ever was on my other machine. And that's with this emulation and you know, whatever you call it, translation layer. All right, so after you do all of those things, say a prayer and then install Big Sur. All righty then. Moving right along. Oh yeah. So I don't know if you read my columns at Houston Chronicle or Mac Observer. I've been writing at both of them for 20 plus years. And recently I wrote a couple of columns called When Things Don't Just Work. And it had to do with the Photos app. And I've got more information now than I had when I wrote the columns. But to give you just a quick, a brief background, my son got engaged and we were there with our iPhone cameras. And so I wanted to set up a shared album and photos so that everybody who was there could contribute their best shots, which I was then going to have printed into a book, right? I've done it a million times. It used to work, just work, right? This time it didn't just work. I selected the 100 pictures that I took and tried to create the shared album, and it just did not work, period. The album never got populated. Things, I would get weird error messages, all kinds of weird stuff was happening. I did all my favorite troubleshooting things to no avail. I called Apple, they suggested I build a new library. Well, I've got 70,000 pictures. So building a new library means downloading the originals from iCloud, which took 4 days, okay? And then that didn't work either. And so after a week, I still can't create a shared album. I've got a case number, I've been escalated. I call Apple back. This is the part that hasn't been published yet. And the tech support guy was very knowledgeable, and we established that another user account on this machine didn't have the issue, which I had already knew. And so, much to my chagrin, Apple's advice was to move all my data to a new user account. That's how to fix the photos problem I'm having. And I said to the rep, isn't there any less odious solution to this problem? Isn't there a preference file I can throw away, or a cache I could reset or something? And he said, no, unfortunately not. So I said, and you know, I knew the answer to this, but I said, so you're telling me I need to find 300 gigabytes of storage on another disk somewhere, move all of the stuff from my home directory there temporarily, create a new user account, and then bring all that stuff back in, and then reconnect reconnect everything. So you're telling me not to bring in like my preferences and things like that. So you're telling me that in order to get photos fixed, I need to spend another 2 or 3 days with a half crippled machine, right? He said, yeah, I'm afraid that's the deal. That's the best I can offer you. And so I found a solution. And it didn't involve Apple Photos. I put them on Google Photos. It's free. They have shared albums. And guess what? They worked. I uploaded 100 pictures. Everybody was able to participate. There's now 200 and some odd. And it's working fine, and it just worked. And I'm disappointed because, first of all, I always have counted on Apple for their stuff to just work. And it always, not always, but usually it has. And when it hasn't, I've always gotten what I call satisfaction from tech support. I've always gotten a resolution that worked for me, including times that took 3 guys and 4 different calls and screen sharing and everything else to get it straightened out. They were very persistent and good, and they solved my problems. But not this time. This time, the solution was worse than the problem. And I to this moment, oh, and I bought a new Mac. So I was doing all that on my old Intel MacBook Pro. I thought, okay, I'll just buy a new Mac and maybe that'll fix it. But that didn't either. Why? Because I used Migration Assistant, which means it migrated whatever's causing the problem. But here's the thing. Nothing else is wrong. Nothing else isn't working right. And I can't imagine spending a day or 2 dinking around with it just to get shared albums to work again in Photos. Because the rest of Photos is working. I'm just disappointed. It didn't used to be like this. But then again, there used to be a thing called Macworld Expo, and gosh, there used to be unicorns. All right.
Raindrops on roses, whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
Thank you, Julie Andrews. And now we've come to the segment you all know and love. This is a few of my favorite things. See, all year long, I have the best job in the world. All year long, people send me cool stuff to plug into my Macs and my iPhones and to play with and write about and put through their paces. And it's like when I was a kid, my dream job was toy tester for Mattel. And basically that's what I am today for big people. And so here are a few of the things that have really made 2020 a brighter year for me. Okay, these are things that I've found enjoyment in 2020, where there's been so little enjoyment. Starting with Affinity Photo for 59 bucks. Okay, I used to be a Photoshop guy for 20 years, like from version 1 all the way to Creative Suite 8 or 6 or who knows. But and you know, I'd wait a couple years and then buy an upgrade, and wait a couple years and buy an upgrade. And over the years, you know, it was costing me probably an average of a couple $100 a year. Then they went to a subscription, and only because I'm a student did I get it for $10 a month. And that's still 120 a year, year in, year out. And really, I don't need Photoshop. I need a photo editing app that lets me add text, do layers, work with transparency, and things like that. I don't need CYMK separations or any high-end video features that you get in Photoshop. I need a photo app, an editing app for photos. And so I decided 120 a year every year is crazy for what I need to do. I need to buy one app and use it for a few years before it gets too old to use anymore. And so the two that were under consideration, and really I would put the other one up here with it, and it's even less expensive. It's Pixelmator Pro. The reason I chose Affinity Photo was, for me, most of the features mimic Photoshop almost exactly, right down to the keyboard shortcuts. And so the transition for me was very smooth. It didn't take me a long time to learn how to do the things I need to do in Affinity Photo. Pixelmator Pro might be a better app overall for editing. It's certainly got some really great features that I find myself using it for, like the intelligent, they use AI to enlarge or shrink pictures. And it's so much better than all the other enlarge and shrink algorithms. So if I do it in Affinity, it looks okay. If I do it in Pixelmator and I'm trying to blow something up to twice its size or shrink it down to half its size, it's amazing how much nicer it looks. It's using this AI in real time to analyze the picture and not just average all the pixels that are on the fringes, but figure out what should be what and make it look better. It's amazing.
I'm sorry, which one of the two is the best?
Well, here's the thing. I like Affinity Photo better. If you're a Photoshop user, I think you'll find that it's got most of the features and they work.
Oh, I mean on the enlarging and shrinking.
Oh, and the enlarging and shrinking is Pixelmator Pro. It's just shocking how good it does that. Now, some of its other stuff I don't like as much. Like I don't like its selection tools as much. I don't like the way it handles layers because it's not as much like Photoshop, which I was used to.
And
but,
can you delete an object out of a picture and it fills in the background?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It does pretty much all the things that you can do in Photoshop. It's only $49.99. Is that what Christian just said? Hold on. Christian just, there we go. Affinity has a lot of excellent, yes, the video tutorials are great. And they also published a book, a hardcover book that's like $49. And it's amazing. If you want to really learn how to use every feature, there are beautiful tutorials. It's a coffee table book. Super Duper is not compatible with Big Sur yet. He's working on it. And yeah, definitely try the free trial of Affinity or Pixelmator Pro. They're both awesome graphics apps. And really, most of us don't need Photoshop and don't need a subscription for 10 or 20 bucks a month to do what we're going to do with photos. This is my new, all right, I'm a big fan of multi-clipboard. So the idea that Apple only lets you have one clipboard and then it goes away the next time you cut or copy something just ticks me off. It just, what is wrong with them? After all these years, can't they see that it would be great to have the history of your clipboard so you can go back and use that stuff again later? So I've always used an app that takes everything I cut or copy and saves it, just kind of stashes it away for me so I can use it later. And I've used dozens of them over the year. Copy paste, and I can't remember. There's one built into Keyboard Maestro. I think there's one built into Launch Bar. There's one built in for sure to Alfred. I've tried all of them, and they're all good. The idea that you can save all of your clipboards and recall them at will is a great idea. And however it's implemented, it's still great. But this app, Paste, I really like for 99 cents a month. And here's why. Two things about it make it, I think, superior to all the other ones I've tried. Number one, what you're seeing on screen is the display you see when you want to paste something. Notice anything? Everything looks the way it's going to look when you paste it. And it's big enough to know what you're looking at. Okay, a lot of these apps just list the stuff by name and the names don't make sense. So you have to scroll through and look at everything. This, you can just scroll across this bar, which pops up on your screen, left and right, and you can actually see what's on the clipboards. And then you can organize up at the top. You can see useful links, and for dummies, those are folders, and you can put stuff in folders to save it forever. I flush this out every once in a while, just because it gets too big and cumbersome. It'll get to a gigabyte or more when it gets over hundreds and hundreds. But the ones that are saved forever, I use over and over and over again. Like all the for dummies stuff is all that boilerplate stuff I need in every book. So it never goes away. Now, here's the other cool feature. There's a companion app which is free for iOS, and they sync. So everything you copy on your Mac appears on your iOS device, and you can paste it from there. That alone is worth $1 a month to me. I mean, that is just, I can't tell you how many times I've like a password, or, you know, I use good passwords. So they're all 30 characters and they're not easy to remember. You have to paste them or, you know, type them character by character when you're looking at them. This is great. So they're on my iPhone because I copied it on my Mac to log in when I used it on my Mac. Now I've got it on my iPhone too, which means I also have it on my Apple TV. Yay, $1 a month. I don't think they have a buy it thing, but for $12 a year, what are you gonna do? You know, it's like that. That to me is one of the few subscriptions that I'm not unhappy to pay every month. 99 cents a month. Love my AirPods. Gave them to my wife when AirPods Pro came out, which I love even more. These are, if you, well, actually, today Apple introduced AirPods Max or Pro Max or something. They're $500 and some odd dollars. They have 74 sensors in them. They have 400 microphones, 17 drivers. They can pilot your car remotely. I don't know. I only read about it a few minutes before the meeting started, but apparently they do everything. And oh yeah, and they crisp and they air fry and they instant pot with pressure. And I have to say this, I'm not a $500 earphone guy. $249 for AirPods Pro was right at my breaking point, and I only did it because I had a $100 gift card from Apple that someone had given me, and I was going to use it. And you know, what can you buy for $100 at the Apple store? Not that much. So I thought, okay, I'll do AirPods Pro, but that's it, $249. I mean, first of all, I lose or break earphones pretty regularly. And second of all, in 2 years, I'll be sorry I paid $500 for them when the $800 Super Deluxe Pro comes out. And so, and really, I'm 65 years old now. My hearing isn't what it used to be. I'm okay with AirPods Pro for $249. They are, so they're not the best sounding earphones I've ever put in my ears. I've tried, in fact, I have a pair of $100 Grado S80s, I think, that are better sounding earphones for pure listening to music. But they don't have a microphone, they don't have noise canceling, they don't sound great when I'm out taking a walk and talking on the phone, they don't stop when I click one of them, they don't call Siri when I click the other one. I mean, they're just so delicious in every way. They recognize my Apple devices when I hold them close. It's like you hold them by your iPad the first time and it says, oh, look, I see that you've got your AirPods Pro here. Would you like to listen through them? You don't even have to pair them. It just, I recognize that you've got these earphones and let's just go with that. They're also great for stuff like this, although I'm not using them today because I'm doing most of the talking. But if I were doing a lot of interacting, I'd probably have them in my ears right now. They are fabulous. I would say I've never liked a pair of headphones more and been more eager to put them in my ears when I'm out and about. I really can't say enough good things about them. I guess I'm going to try the new $500 ones, but I'm not a person who's likely to buy $500 earphones. So who knows? Apple Music for $15 a month for the family. Unbelievable deal. You guys have heard me say this. This has been on my list for years. And that is, I used to spend, you know, 30, 40, 50, $60 a year, $100 a year on records, on music from the iTunes store, buying CDs for $10 a piece or songs for $1 or $1.29. But I wasn't buying a ton of music. I was buying maybe 50 or $60 most years. You know, 3 or 4 or 5 albums, that was enough. You know, I have all the music I like. And there isn't that much more new music coming out that I like, but there's a lot of music I like that I don't own, that's old music. that I'd love to listen to, but I'm not going to buy. And Apple Music is the solution. It's just amazing. I have now 60 million songs on all my devices, wherever I go, and all my playlists with all of those 60 million songs. I don't know. That is amazing. And Apple has a new thing. I didn't put a slide up for it, but a new thing called Apple One, which gives you all of their subscription stuff for 30 bucks a month, or is it? Yeah, $29.99 a month. So you get Apple Music for your family. You get Apple News for your family. You get Apple Arcade for your family. You get Apple, whatever the new one, fitness or workouts or whatever the new thing is going to be called. All for 30 bucks a month for the whole family. Well, I'm already paying 15 bucks a month for music, and it's 2 terabytes of iCloud storage, which I pay 10 bucks a month for already. So I'm already at 25 bucks without news, arcade, fitness, and something else. I mean, so as soon as I saw Apple One is available to purchase, I said, well, sign me up. You know, it's like, I'd really rather pay $30 for everything than $25 for 2 out of 5. It's a good deal. So check out Apple One if you're so inclined. Oh, Apple TV Plus, which I haven't been that impressed with so far, but they've had a couple of really good shows. And I think over time they will turn out to be a pretty good streaming service. Just right now, it's not worth $5 a month, and they know it. They keep giving it away. When you buy a new device, you get a bunch of free Apple TV Plus. And if you haven't watched them yet, you should watch Mythic Quest, which is a great show with a couple of the guys from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Really good show. And Central Park, which is an animated Broadway musical. It's hysterical. And I watched the morning show with Jennifer Aniston, and it didn't do much for me, although I really liked Steve Carell in it. He was kind of a crazy, neurotic. I don't know. I wouldn't pay $5 a month for it now, but I'll take it for free as part of Apple One. So now Apple Music, look at this. The Beatles Super Deluxe White Album had 107 songs. Now, I bought the White Album back when vinyl was the only way you could buy an album. And then I bought it on 8-track, I think, and cassette and CD. So I've bought the White Album now, what, 4 times? I'm not buying it a 5th time. Plus, this one with 107 tracks, if you bought it, was like 40 bucks. It's like, I'm really not buying it again for $40. Well, I didn't have to. I got all 107 of those songs for, part of my subscription. Which to me was awesome because I wanted to listen to it, but I sure as heck didn't want to buy it for 40 bucks. And, in the old days, I might have been able to look for bootleg MP3s on the dark web, but that really is risky behavior. I mean, I'd really rather pay Apple 15 bucks a month and get it legit. Really awesome. Those of you that use an iPad, I never really liked using an iPad all that much until I got a Bridge iPad keyboard. This turned it into a MacBook Pro for me, a MacBook Pro substitute. I could actually go places and type at a reasonable rate of speed, for places where dictation was inappropriate. So it became a really good note-taking machine. And also, there were apps I found that let me record audio while I was taking notes and link the two, so that if I said, talking about particle quantum physics theory here, I could then click there and hear that part of the lecture. So it became my de facto note-taking thing. If I had to go somewhere and take notes, I'd just grab that. It's the lightest, easiest to operate, and I could actually type at a reasonable rate on that keyboard. Those keys are very much like MacBook Pro keys. If you're used to MacBook Pro keys, you'll type on that and go, oh yeah, this feels very familiar. They're about the same spacing, the same size. 99 bucks. It's made out of aluminum. It really is almost bulletproof. So I had I have a iPad Pro first generation, and when I got mine, it was $99. The newer ones are a little more, like $129, I think, for some of the newer ones. But if you really want a great keyboard, there's two things about this that make it great. One, it lasts forever on one charge. You can charge it and go like 2 months without plugging it in again. And the second is, you see the way it's sitting on an angle? That angle is infinitely adjustable. So those hinges are really precision made, so you can turn that screen to the exact angle that's perfect for you. And to me, that it's almost worth $100 just to have a perfect screen angler, holder that puts it so that the glare is perfect. Like you're on an airplane, this thing's awesome because just a tiny adjustment is all it takes to make the light glare go away. Awesome. So that's the Bridge iPad keyboards, and they make them for every iPad. My Logitech MX Master 3. Not everybody believes that a $100 mouse is necessary or even reasonable, but I do. I'm a mouse guy. I have tried and tried and tried to love trackpads, and I have to say, between the trackpad and the touch bar, I'm liking my new MacBook Pro and typing on its keyboard more often than I ever have before, and using the trackpad. But if I'm at my desk, having 9 buttons on my mouse just does it for me. It's like, I want forward, I want back, I want option click, I want to scroll, I want to zoom, I want all of those things on one hand without having to go back and forth to the key. And this lets me do it. I've had all of the MX Masters, and before that, the MX, whatever it was called, the Performance MX Pro. I've been using a mouse like this for probably 10 years. And I just love it because it's got a lot of buttons, and I program them to do the things I need my right hand doing if it's on the mouse. And so I can go back and forward on pages. So if I've navigated to anything, I can re-navigate without moving my hand back to the keyboard or moving it to the mouse. It's there, and it's one button, and it goes forward or back. I can go from tab to tab in any tabbed interface with one button. Actually, it's a roller. So the roller on the side there that you can see, I don't know, you can't see my pointer, but on the right, next to the little green light is a roller. And that roller lets me choose the tabs in a tabbed interface. So if I got 11 tabs open in Safari, I can scroll through them with that little roller there. It's just awesome. All of that control in one hand. I haven't found a feature set that makes a trackpad work that way for me, that gives me all that flexibility in one place. It's like you gotta either hold down a key while you're trackpadding or do something else. I don't know. I'm just such a fan of a great mouse, and that is the great mouse for Mac OS. I'm still a big fan of Apple Watch. I don't know if you can tell, but I've gained a little weight. I call it the COVID poundage. But I also had a herniated disc in my back in August. And so I've been unable to exercise as much as I like. I can't walk like the 5 miles a day I used to walk. I'm limited to about 1 mile or 2 a day. And I have another appointment next week, and they say they might be able to fix me with an injection of some special juice. We'll see. In the meantime, I love my Apple Watch. It's got so many things that I use every day over and over and over again. The first and most useful to me is I can just put my hand up and say, set a timer for blank. And I'm the kind of person that if you don't have a 15-minute timer, the pizza will burn. And if the timer is on my wrist, well, all the better, because I'll set the timer in the kitchen and then go in the garage and burn the pizza. This follows me around. It also does my reminders. Remind me to do this when I get home. What's on my calendar today? I mean, there's just so many things that I love being able to do from my wrist without pulling out my phone. And especially these days wearing a mask, because I don't need a mask to unlock my watch. Once it's unlocked and on my wrist, it stays unlocked and I don't have to worry about it. I love the activity sensor. I mean, the idea that it's coaxing me into getting the right amount of activity in a day and exercise. Nothing else has done that for me. I had Fitbit and all kinds of stuff, and I've tried apps and I've joined clubs, and nothing else really had an impact, but this did. And it still does. Physically, I can't do it like I used to. And it makes me very sad because I really like if it would say to me, you can do it. You can still close all 3 of your rings today. And I'd go, yeah, you're right. I should. I love that thing. All right, finally, my last thing that I love, I don't know if any of you have seen this, but this is the Cricut Maker. It's a peripheral. It's a Bluetooth and or USB device. It's a, they call it a computer aided cutter. It can cut many materials based on something you create on your computer. So that's what it looks like. The bottom thing, Cricut Maker, is the thing. The thing above it is a press for making t-shirts. And one of the things you can make with the Cricut Maker is iron-ons, but it cuts out all of the part that would be all glossy and white and ugly and leaves only the colored part. So it looks like it's silk screened. It's really a pretty clever way to do one-off t-shirt stuff, but that's not why I love it. I did do a t-shirt. This is the t-shirt. Unicorn Dad Fan Club. That was for my daughter. But you can also do etched glass. So I did these cutouts, the Allison and the unicorn art. I printed the clip art, and then I scanned it on the Cricut Maker and told the Cricut Maker to cut around it. Then I put it on the glass and used glass etching cream. Pretty amazing. That's something I could never have done without this machine, right? Never in a million years. And there's more glass etching on a bottle. But wait, there's more. It does more than glass etching and t-shirts. It can also do precision cutting. See the green stuff in this box I made? I'm going to tell you about woodworking in a while, but I do woodwork. And I've always had a really hard time doing the felt linings because you need to cut it really precisely or it stretches and gets all, it's very difficult to work with this stuff. With the Cricut Maker, I just measured those little panels, all of the 8 panels around and printed it. And then it just cut them. There's a special blade for cutting fabric and it cut those perfectly. And every one of them, the octagon and all 8 of the little side pieces were exactly right. And just, I peeled off the sticky stuff and put them on. It took about half an hour, whereas when I do it by hand, it takes like half a day. Oh, you can do vinyl signs. So that's on my door of my office. You just basically type what you want and then tell the Cricut machine to cut it out of sticky vinyl. And then you put it on your door. It even will do inlays in wood. So I told it to cut the Apple logo into the lighter colored wood. And then I told it again to do it and save the piece that it cut out on the inside and put it in the outer. I used darker wood for the inside piece. It cut that out and then I just slapped it in. It fit perfectly. The thing is, it'll only work with wood up to a 1/16 of an inch thick, which is really, really thin, which means you're not going to be doing a lot of that. That was what I got it for. I thought, oh, this is great. I can. It's like getting one of those CNC router, computer controlled router or laser for $300. Yeah, and it connects to the Mac. Well, it isn't very good with wood. Wood is its like weakness, but it does all the other stuff so well. I've used it for hundreds of things. Also, here, where'd my wood sign go? I had a beautiful wood sign up there. I think maybe somebody took it. Oh, here it is. So, you know, I can do stuff like this, which there's no way I could do without a machine or something. I mean, there's just, I'm not talented enough to cut those letters out by hand and put them on a sign. All right, so I told you I was going to tell you about woodworking and semi-retirement. Here we go. I am about to semi-retire. On January 1st, I'm closing down Working Smarter for Mac Users forever. Partly because it's getting long in the tooth and I didn't want to go back and redo it for a new operating system. It's a 5-hour video course. It would take me 6 months of very hard work, and I just don't have it in me to do it again. So I'll tell you about how I'm gonna close it down. But I am semi-retiring. I'm not gonna stop writing my dummies books because that's fun. I'm not gonna stop writing columns because that's fun. But Working Smarter for Mac Users, I was the marketing guy, I was the advertising guy, I was the accounts payable, accounts receivable. There was so much going on. I had to answer all the student questions in classrooms. I liked it, but it was overwhelming. And I couldn't really go on vacation comfortably. I could, but I was worried all the time that, I'd leave a client or a customer or a student hanging. And I just want that off my plate. Books and columns, there's no pressure. It's like, if I get them done on time, I'm done. There's no, I'm going to disappoint someone if I'm out of town. And I like going off the grid. So I'm moving to Montana soon. There's some pictures of me in Montana last time I was up there, and some pictures of places that we were. And, I'm done. I'm done with city life. I want to move to the country. I want to move to a ranch. I want to, move to open space somewhere. And I want to live near a general store, not an HEB. Not that I don't love HEB, but I'm ready to, live somewhere more laid back than a city. Not just, it's not Austin, although Austin has grown so much and so fast. I'm not tickled here anymore, but I want to retire. So Working Smarter for Mac Users is going to go bye-bye on January 1st. But wait, before it does, the course was $4.99. The book was $25. I'm going to give you one last opportunity before it all goes away to get them both for $20. All right, but only 30 people, because here's the thing. The course runs on a platform called Thinkific, and it costs me a small fortune every month to keep Thinkific running. And so on January 1st, it'll go away. That being said, everyone that's ever bought the course will get to keep taking the course on YouTube. I've set up a private website, a private playlist with all the lessons there. And so when it goes away from Thinkific, you'll still have all the material and all the transcripts. You won't have the chat rooms, but my email address is my email address. If you need to ask a question, you know where to find me. So for the next 30 people, you can go to tinyurl.com, semi-retiring bundle, and get it for $20. That's the book and the course, 5-hour video course. Now, the thing is, it was done with Mojave, I think, maybe even before Mojave. I'd say 90% of it is still accurate and useful information, but it doesn't look the same. And it's getting to the point where I'd have to go through and do a lot of work to make it good for the next version of Mac OS. I mean, right now, most of Big Sur's changes are cosmetic, so I'm okay. The stuff still works the way I said it would, and most of the things still look exactly the same. But next year they won't, and I'm getting too old for this. So tinyurl.com, semi-retiring bundle, but wait, there's more. So I found out that I like to make wood objects with my hands. This is what I want to do when I retire, is become a wood artist. And so here's some of the things that I've made lately. That's, I call that Orange River. It's wall art. It's illuminated art. It's about 16 by 8, I think, or I don't know. Anyway, that's wall art. That one, that's a cheese board server, or a cheese server that I made. I call these triv art. They're trivets, but they're art. This one's got a clear blue eyeball, so it's kind of see-through-y. They're kind of interesting. I do cutting boards. This one's my home in Texas one with a orange metal inlay. That's Blue Wave I was hoping for a different kind of blue wave this year. And I didn't get the one I wanted, so I made one. There's a rolling cart, like a kitchen butcher blocky thing. And that's another piece of triv art. I call that one Aladdin Sane. Of course. That's an Edison lamp. It's actually, do I have that one here? No, that one got sold. Just kind of an interesting little desk lamp thing. And yeah, there's another piece of triv art. That's cherry wood with Apple logo. And there's a 10% off coupon code for you until Christmas, no, until New Year's, till January 1st. You get 10% off everything in the Woodworks store, which is at workingsmarterformacusers.com/woodworks. Now, with any luck at all, somebody from CapMac will put this on the website or the mailing list or something. And if you forget, email me and I'll refresh your memory about it. That's it. We're now to the any questions portion. So I'm going to look in the chat log here and see if there's any questions there that I should answer. In the meantime, if you've got questions, please raise your hand, or I don't know, how does this, how do we do this?
I have one.
Okay.
I have one too.
Okay.
Hey, Allsoft used to produce Disc Warrior, if you're familiar, and I used to love it. It was great.
I
in terms
agree.
of fixing things, and I won't go into that, but they have, ever since APFS came out, Apple File System, they have, it seems like they're dragging their feet in terms of putting out an updated Disc
Okay.
Warrior.
I'm gonna stop you right there because I hear you completely. I actually called Al Whipple, who's the lead programmer, and Rusty Little and Al. I can't remember Al's name, but I called both of them on the phone, and I said, "You've been telling me this for years. What's the story?" And what they said was, they are close, but it's really, really complicated. It is not well documented, and Apple is not eager to help them figure out how to do what they do well and right. So I believe someday, maybe, they will have Disc Warrior for APFS. Until then, it's pretty sucky because there really isn't something like that that runs on APFS. But I believe these guys. I mean, I've known them for probably 20 years, and I think it irks them as much as it irks us that they haven't been able to come out with an APFS version yet. And the fact that they're still in business kind of amazes me.
Bob, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How are you going to get internet service in Montana? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I did. I'm thinking about it. According to my son, in most of the larger cities, they have at least the package I got, 200, 400 down or 200 down and 10 up. And I can live with that. I mean, I'm not like podcasting, video, live streaming. I don't need a super fast connection. I'd like better than that. I'd love to have a gigabit two-way connection, and I'd be willing to pay for it if I could get one, but I can't even get that in Austin. So, I'll take what. But one of the things on our list when we go looking for places to rent or buy is test the internet. It's like, if it's not pretty good, we can't live there. So I think they have the internet in Montana, Nancy.
Yeah, but do they have it down in valleys and up on the top of mountains?
Well, one of the Airbnbs we stayed in was way up in the middle of nowhere, and they had pretty good Wi-Fi.
That's good.
Oh, that's good.
I just can't imagine you not being on the internet.
This is Koki, and I have a story to tell you. I've had a problem with my Apple Pay, with it not accepting my credit card from my credit union. and I've been working on it for 6 weeks. I call Apple, I have to call the credit union, I call Apple credit union, back and forth, and we still have not solved the problem.
That's because it's Goldman Sachs.
Ah,
I had the
well,
same.
well, no,
Didn't you
then
hear
I got
last year? I told the story about the Apple Store not knowing how my Apple Card worked, and ultimately having to type in the card number to get the transaction to go through in the Apple Store. They had the Bob LeVitus exception, which meant they could type in the number of your Apple Card, but not any other credit card.
Oh, wow.
And it was, you know, it's like I talked to people in the store. I talked to people for over an hour, and they kept kicking me around, and it was all Goldman Sachs help, and they apparently don't know S from Shinola.
Well, this was before I even got an Apple Card. So, you know, and
But
so I
the
thought,
Apple Pay stuff, I think, all goes through them. I think they do all of the back end. And
Oh.
so if you've got tech support, they transfer you to these. They don't tell you that, but they hand you off to an expert or a specialist. And those are Goldman Sachs people, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But after my experience with photos recently, I am not 100% convinced that Apple support is everything it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, I remember a time when they wouldn't give up until until they fixed what was wrong.
Yeah.
Being told that I should, you know, take everything from one user account and create a new one doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, well, I finally decided to get the Apple Card to see if that would work. So I deleted all the cards, every card said I had on my phone, put in that in, and then it said that I could not use that for Apple Pay.
Yeah, that sounds like my problem. I couldn't use it to buy a Mac in the Apple Store, and they couldn't explain why. So yeah, there's still apparently some issues with their back end there, and I don't think that the support people really know how to solve problems. I didn't get mine solved. I had to figure it out myself.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go get a new phone and see if that'll work.
Well, that's what I did. I got a new Mac to see if I could fix my photos problem. A $1,500 solution.
Did it work?
No. No. Google worked.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Nice to see you, Cookie.
Nice to see you too.
Bob, how secure is the Google photo stuff?
What do I care? These are pictures of my kid proposing to his girlfriend.
Oh.
No, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I would imagine it's less than Apple's, but these are just snapshots. I mean, it's not like this is rocket science or secrets of the universe or anything.
Bob, this is Don Jones here. I'm so glad that we recorded this because I'll go back and get a bunch of information that I didn't bother to take notes on. But one thing was when I looked at your watch on your wrist, your control button is on the lower left corner. And I was wondering how you did that because on the upper right-hand corner, I'm always snagging it on my jeans pocket when I put my hand in my pocket.
Just turn it around, turn your band the other way, flip your watch the other way, and then go into settings and say left wrist, crown on left.
Oh, okay.
And that'll fix it. Yeah, it's really nice that they let you do that. And before the before the Apple Watch 6, I think up until the 5, your microphone was on this side. So if you went like this, you were then talking right into the microphone rather than, which is how you would have had. Anyway, it works for me. Plus, I'm used to double clicking the button on that side now. It was harder for me when it was on the other side for some reason.
Right.
So,
thanks.
it's a setting, all yours.
Thanks.
Yeah. You can't do that with an analog watch.
I'd like to know if there's an easy way to see what your AirPod Pro battery level is. Every time I try to find it, I look everywhere.
All right, let me check. But one place you can look is in the Bluetooth preference settings. If you tap on the little eye
Okay.
And then, let's see. I think maybe they have to be connected. Hold on. There we go. No, that doesn't show you the battery, but if you open, let's see, if you open the case, maybe if you open the case with them still in it. I know I've seen it pop up. There it is. So if you open the case and hold it right near your iPhone. No, it's not doing it. An overlay pops up from the bottom of the screen. There it is. And it tells you how much charge is in both your AirPods Pro
And the case.
Yeah.
Okay, so you open the case with the AirPods in it.
And place it
Yeah.
and put it right like within inches of your phone.
Yeah.
And that'll do it. And then also, I think the batteries widget, let me see. Does the batteries widget do it?
It should.
It sure will.
Let's see.
It sure will. That's the way to
Okay.
go.
Yep. So if you put the batteries widget somewhere, either in your control center or
Yeah, I got mine on there.
Oh, great. Great. Thank you.
Bob?
So there's two ways, right?
Yeah.
Bob?
All right. Who's next?
Let me ask you real quick. When you had your links up for your course and other stuff, your window covered up half of the URL.
Oh, you know what? Here, let me quit out of the slideshow here.
If you'd send those URLs
I'm
in,
gonna send you. Yeah, I'm gonna paste them in.
if you
and
just
send
paste,
them here.
paste
Can I
them
send
in
them
the
into the
chat.
chat? That's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do.
then
I'm
we'll
doing
put them in the website.
Yep. Thank you.
Mhm.
Here comes one. This one is the semi-retiring bundle. Uh-oh. Oh, Mimo Live didn't like that. All right. And here comes. Oh, I see what I gotta do. Hold on.
I can send you an email and you can send them later.
Yeah, hang on a second. I got this. Oh, I see what I did. Okay. All right, I'll paste it in a second. I know where to find it now. I just have to show the toolbar, turn on the sidebar, and then it'll
And
do
make it work.
Yep. It'll just work then.
Yeah. I like that part.
One can only hope it will just work. Yeah, here we go. I got it. Oh. So who's got another question? Go ahead. I'm waiting. I'm working while I listen.
Bob, is Carbon Copy Cloner, does it work on Big Sur?
Yes, it does. It will not automatically create a bootable drive if you're running it on an M1 machine. But if you're running it on an Intel machine, it now will create a bootable clone just like it always has. If you're running it on an M1 machine, look on the website for the additional steps you need to take.
Okay, I just
It's
want,
not hard, it's just,
I just use that for backup.
yeah, if you're using it for backup, it runs fine.
Okay.
The only thing that was a problem was Apple's tool for cloning, for making a bootable, for like declaring a thing bootable, wasn't working right.
Yeah, okay.
And so when they get that fixed, it'll work on non-M1 machines, on M1 machines as well. But these got instructions up on the website. All you have to do is install Big Sur on the clone one time from the recovery partition, and that's it. And then you're done. After that, you've got a bootable clone.
Bob, do you know of a replacement for the old Super Paint program of days of yore?
Not really. You know, the Super Paint was a weird egg. It used a combination of bitmap paint graphics and vector draw graphics. I think Affinity has a designer program that kind of gets there. It's really, Super Paint was kind of almost a page layout program. You know, it had the ability to mix bitmap pictures with vector graphics and crisp type. And so I don't know of anything really like that that's just a graphics program. But Affinity probably would do most of that.
Oh, that's something to try.
My system has run out of application memory.
Huh.
All right, hold on. I'm going to paste in. Did I do it already? No. Here, let me paste in the other.
Does that mean you need to get the computer with the extra memory?
I am absolutely.
Bob's frozen.
Again, the
Oh,
computer
no.
with extra memory.
What doesn't it just start paging like crazy when it does that? Uh-oh, he's gone offline.
Yep.
Frozen. Hold on, maybe. Hold on. Let's see.
Hey, Peter, somebody answered you about the Affinity Designer. They have a free trial.
Oh, good. Oh, that's great. Okay.
Thanks, Christian. Super Paint was such a useful little app for just generating drawings and
I like that background. Oh, it's oriental.
By the way, has everyone noticed that Claris Corporation is back in business?
Really?
Yes. If you want information on FileMaker, you can go to the FileMaker website, of course, but also Claris.
We haven't had any questions from any of our visitors. Please feel free to ask any questions you might have.
Do we still have any visitors here?
Oh, I don't know if anybody's looked, but one of the things I did in the past few days is look for a teardown on a M1 based Mac Mini, because I was just curious what it would look like, and it turns out there's almost nothing. About half of the you know, if anybody, generally I assume that people know how small a Mini is, and it's basically the guts of a laptop without a screen or a keyboard, and half of the box is empty. In other words, the logic board that has the processor and the memory and so on, and then there's a fan, but the bulk, about half of the box, is just completely empty, which means one of two things. Either they can make it smaller, which kind of is difficult because people make accessories for the Mini and they fit on top and everything, and that's good. Or the alternative is they'll come out with some super duper whippy thing that'll be sort of like the Mac Mini Pro here over the next year, that'll blow the doors off.
It's what they say. It's a system on a chip. So pretty much, you know, your CPU, your graphics, your memory is all on one chip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking if they bump up the size of the core, you know, if you look at the M1 core and come up with a M1X or M2 and beef it up, you know, to where you have more execution units, then you'll have to increase the amount of cooling that you do. And they, you know, and I don't know, and you could add the necessary logic to have extra ports and stuff, like 4 ports, like the Intel model, the USB-C ports, and a couple of A ports, and you know, all the junk that all of the various peripheral plug-in ports that the Intel Mini has, which would be really welcome, I think, for a lot of folks.
Sure.
So
also, next year, supposedly, I read some speculation that they were going to add a bunch of memory.
Yeah.
To the system.
That,
Yeah, that may be.
I just about have to. Does anybody have any idea the physical side of this M1? Physical size?
I don't know exactly how big it is, but I know that the memory devices are direct chip attached. They're flip chips, and
Yes.
they direct chip attach to the top of the substrate that the M1 core is located on.
Exactly.
You know, so they have a carrier. They're sort of like an extended carrier for the M1, and then there's two, and that's what makes it so fast. And also they've optimized the I think they have a 128-bit fetch path to each of the chips. So you know, it makes them fast, and they've got a wide path there.
I have
It's
a
almost,
question.
go ahead.
I have an iPhone 7 and it had the 256 gigabytes and it's got 179 gigabytes on it now. And I'm using 13.7. And if I upgrade to 14.2, is it going to just drain my battery? Because I've been reading that it can do that.
Maybe.
You think it will?
Maybe.
Yeah, because I don't want to like end up every 2 hours your phone is dead, you know.
Christine, I think you need a new phone.
I know. I like my little red phone. I probably need a new phone.
I used to have a red phone, Christine, and the problem I had with it is you couldn't tell if your ringer was on or off because the everything was red.
Oh, I don't have that problem, but I like it because it was expensive and it has all those gigabytes on it, you know, and I'm thinking if I buy a new phone, it's just going to cost me a lot to do the same thing. But I may just go ahead and do it.
It's time.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Dr. Bob's back. Were you going to put some link in the chat or something?
Yeah, somebody send me an email because my Mac locked up. My Mac locked up after all that time. It finally ran out of memory and choked, and it's restarting. So I'm on my iPhone. I thought, oh, I can jump back in with my iPhone.
Well, I just want to tell you, my mother was on, and she just dropped off because she's tired, but she's 94 years old, and she enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
You're wondering who Jan Metzel was? That's my mom.
That's great.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
I'm glad she was here.
I mean, these Zoom calls, she lives in Arkansas, and we do remote support for her. You know, that Apple is great the way you can share their screen.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
it's nice
Oh,
for her
yeah.
to see a whole group of people enthused about the Mac.
Bob, I
Yeah.
had the tiny URL. I listed in the chat because I had trouble getting on, but after I tried it a couple of times, it finally went through.
Oh, good.
And
Yes,
I got
I
the
saw
order
that.
in.
I just got. Thank you for buying the course, both of you that did.
I already bought it the last time you were giving the pitch. I assume it still works.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I still have it.
And if you're a student enrolled in Thinkific, you get an email before the end of the month with the new URL.
Bob, is this email address Bob mail at sendfoxmail.com? Is that what you?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
No, Bob LeVitus at mac.com or Bob LeVitus at gmail.com or Bob LeVitus at iCloud.com.
Quick question on the bridge keyboard. Last time I just jumped on it because I was tired with I also have the Mac or iPad Pro original 10.5 like yourself, and I love the bridge. But just recently, and it was funny that just recently I started to search for this issue to get a fix, and I want to know if you have the issue because it seems others do. When they updated to iOS 11 and now 14, it's still there. And that is when you're in email, the default email app on the iPad, you can no longer click delete and delete a message one at a time as you're reading them. Just delete, delete, delete. It doesn't work, period. And it's a feature that happens to many apparently on iOS 11 and above. And you haven't noticed that?
I have not, but then I'm not sure that I delete the same way.
Well, it's
I think on my iPad, a lot of times I go through and don't delete so that I can go back to my Mac and decide later.
Okay, you probably don't delete. Well, I just found it so easy to delete with this Bridge keyboard. I used it that way, and it took care of all my deletions. Didn't have to deal with it anywhere else. But
And now it doesn't work anymore?
No, and it had a little weird fix. Someone said, well, it's weird why this particular fix worked. I have no explanation. I can't remember what it was. It made no sense logically, but it worked for him. But it didn't work for me.
Well, I haven't had the problem, but I have to say, since we've had the pandemic, I haven't had to use the iPad that much because I'm always at home and my Mac is always like within arm's reach. So, you know, I've been for the last year doing almost all my mail and everything else on my computer.
But I like what you said. It's like a MacBook Pro replacement, and it really is.
It's certainly the first thing I've been able to even come close to typing for real.
Oh yeah, it's just like a laptop.
Yeah, almost.
And
in fact, I've been known to sit in like a coffee shop, and when somebody looks at it, I tell them it's a top secret MacBook Mini.
Will that keyboard work if your iPad is in a case, or do you have to take it out
This replaces a case because it closes over the screen, protecting the screen. So because of the way the hinge goes on, I don't think you could use it with a case. Certainly you couldn't use it with most cases.
I mean, I used to like my Logitech iPad Pro keyboard, and I loved it for a couple of years. And then I kind of wore it out. It kind of was falling off the darn iPad, and it came in right in the nick of time when I got your Bridge, and I've never had anything like it before. It is just the best.
Oh, am I making a mistake buying the Apple keyboard? I'm buying a.
Well, yeah, the Bridge is up.
I think the Apple keyboard is overpriced, and really, the Bridge to me is a much better typing experience.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I bought
I'm sure Bridge has a money back guarantee. I would try the Bridge before you pay $250 for the Apple.
Yeah.
Well, the one I got is because I got a 8th generation, and I just got that. You know, the Apple store also had that Logitech, but there was some reason why I didn't think that sounded like it would.
Well, I think they're all about the same price. They're all a little over $100, except for Apple. Apple's more. But I think for the money, the Bridge feels the most like a real keyboard.
Oh, for sure.
Good thing to know.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe I'll send that thing back.
I haven't been that happy with the Apple iPad keyboards. I think that they feel like almost like typing on glass.
Oh, no,
why bother?
It's going to go back then. I don't like that.
Bob, is the Bridge keyboard, can you move it from one generation of iPad to another, or do you have to buy a new one if you upgrade?
It depends on the size. They're precisely like sized to each. So, oops. Yeah, there we go. So I think if you buy another iPad that's the same size, it probably will work. If you buy another iPad that's got a different screen size, it would work because it's just a Bluetooth keyboard, but it won't fit perfectly. You know, it won't look like a MacBook Mini.
Yeah, it won't work very well, Nancy. It may work, but it'll look real funky. I mean, you know, it'll be a small little keyboard, and then you got this big iPad sticking out around the edges.
But it would work.
It would work, but it won't look very good.
But here's the thing: if you're going to do that, when you get rid of the last iPad, you sell it with the keyboard, and you get a new keyboard for the new iPad. You know.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, when you go onto their site, Bridge, it asks you what iPad do you have, and I see they've listed about 200 models
Yes,
of iPads. So
but
that's
it's absolutely based on the screen size. So, you know, so if you're 9.7, it'll work with all the 9.7 inch, I think.
Hey, Bob, I don't want to overlook the display that's behind you in terms of the 4 generations of Mac computers, 3 or 4.
Great.
That's great.
Mac computer.
My friend in California was about to throw them away.
Oh, no.
And he said, it occurred to me you might want them. And I said, well, I didn't until you asked, but now I do.
That's great.
I couldn't bear, because they work. I mean, I
Yeah.
lit them up when they got here. I lit them, all 3 of them up. They work.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I have a Mac Plus that my sister is supposedly securing for me at her house. So I can't wait to see if that's still running.
That was my first Mac, a Mac Plus.
You bet. Me too.
Well, all right, y'all. It's
Are you
been awesome.
Are you moving your Mac collection to Montana with you?
I guess. Unless I find someone in Austin that's starting a museum, maybe I'll, what do you call it? Bequeath them.
Bequeath.
Before
Good
I
word.
move. Before
Yeah.
I move.
What do they do out there for internet?
Oh, they have cable. I mean, in the cities they do. Out in the country, you got to do like satellite. I'm not living in the country.
No.
I'm gonna live in a city, but not a city with 1 million people. A city with, you know, a couple 100,000 or fewer.
Hey,
So
yeah,
it's more
you
like a town.
You know, you could
Right.
you could buy some land adjacent to the Dunton Ranch out there.
Yeah. I think Elon Musk is trying to make it easy for everybody too.
Hey, Elon's moving here.
He is moving here.
Yeah.
He's got hundreds of satellites up there.
So, yeah, Starlink is getting ready to move past the beta phase.
Right.
Well, that might be the solution by the time we leave. See, here's the thing. Apple is moving a big part of their operation to Austin in 2022. The campus is on Palmer Lane, literally 2 miles or 3 miles from my house. And so in 2 years, there's going to be all these people moving from California with money in their pockets, looking for nice houses that are close to work. So I'm thinking we're not going anywhere for a couple years. I'm going to wait for that to happen. And then I'm out of here. But by then, I may be able to get some kind of fast satellite internet. Who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Maybe John Dutton will be interested in selling a satellite for him by that time.
One can only hope.
Bob, as always, it's been a delightful pleasure.
Absolutely.
Except that I don't get to give you a hug, so I'll have to give you a virtual hug.
Virtual hug.
Virtual hug. Yeah. But as always, we appreciate your doing our December program, and
It's always my pleasure.
I got a whole
You're real
things here now that I think I can't live without. So
I know I'm expensive.
Bob, when I lived in Montana, it got to 40 below with drifts across the road 15 feet deep.
All right. Well, maybe I'm not moving to Montana. Maybe I'm moving to Colorado.
Move to New Mexico, near Santa Fe.
New Mexico. You know what? My future in-laws live in Albuquerque, and I would live in New Mexico if my kids moved there. I love New Mexico.
Too expensive.
Yeah, it's great.
Albuquerque's not too bad.
Right.
Santa Fe's too expensive.
Boise, Idaho
Yeah.
is one of the best places in the world to live. I mean, it's in a valley, and so it snows a lot, but it's really dry. I mean, I could hang clothes out on the clothesline with 2 feet of snow on the ground, and they'd be dry in an hour. It's a lovely place to live, but we could we need to let
I have a
everybody know.
quick question, a follow-up question. Somebody mentioned there's a batteries widget, which it's cool because it can tell you how much you got on your phone, but also on your iPods or any AirPods.
Whatever's nearby. Yeah.
But it's bigger than the other icons. Why? I mean, it comes in big and.
Well, you can pick. There should be 3 versions you can pick.
Really?
I think so.
Interesting.
I just saw the one, and it's like everything
Yeah,
else.
there's small, medium, and large.
Really?
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe you got the old person one.
Isn't that cool?
Maybe it just knew.
I
You
never
can't
thought of
find it.
putting the widget right in the control center instead of on my screen taking up space.
Oh,
Never
that's a
thought of
good
that.
thing.
I
I can
like to
figure out
put
how to
my
put it in the
calendar.
control center.
I like to put my calendar at the very top of the home screen. Or at the,
Yeah.
you know.
I like
first-
Okay,
first screen.
let me make a couple of announcements here. For our January program, we're working diligently to get someone who can talk about who can talk about home automation. We've been trying to make this happen for a while, but we have a name, so John's working on it. And then we have a program coming up. All right, the old brain stopped. We've got some speakers who are going to be able to visit with us because we're on Zoom. And the programs sound like they're really going to be good. Brian Chapman from Mac Observer is going to be doing a program for us at some point. So we've got some really exciting programs coming up in this coming year. And a reminder again, if you are a member, your name is in the list to get an gift card.
Oh.
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to a close and appreciate everybody coming tonight. And really wish we could see you in person, but maybe it won't be too much longer. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good
Thank you,
night.
guys.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.